whole scene, everybody dies.
Everybody's gonna die! I'm gonna kill everybody!
So, I just got done seeing Alien Covenant. For anybody that knows me personally and anybody that watches this channel or has watched this channel over the years knows how passionate I am about the Alien movie universe, comic book universe, and everything else in between. Predator, side stories, whether it's Batman versus Alien, Judge Dredd versus Alien, Predator versus Alien, anything of that nature. The Dark Horse comic series, films, whatever. The Alien franchise in general is by far my favorite movie franchise that's ever been made. I put off seeing Alien Covenant for 3 or 4 weeks now. The movie's been out for almost a month, if not a month. I don't believe in giving Hollywood money to go see films, but I had someone that really wanted to go see Alien with me, so I gave in. I went. No, I'm not saying we didn't have a good time when we went and saw the film, but when the movie played out, I knew by the first half hour of the film that the film was going to be bad. Now, for anyone that's not super into the Alien universe or the Alien films in general, I can see how this film could be a popcorn film. It's a film that has no substance as far as if you're thinking really far back into the 1979 Alien film or any film after that. It's really just a popcorn film. You don't really need to sit and think to do anything with this film. You literally don't need to use your brain. The movie just plays everything out for you as an average Hollywood movie. Now, granted, just like Prometheus, Alien Covenant was a masterpiece as far as visuals. But knowing how Prometheus was the last time I went and saw the movie, I knew the visuals were going to be really good. So this time I made sure to put into my head to ignore the visuals as far as the grand, outstanding things they were going to do in CGI, the outstanding atmosphere that they were going to try to present this world in, and focus solely on the story and the characters this movie wanted to base everything around. And what was I presented with? I was presented with a movie that had a cast that were stupider than anyone on the Prometheus ship, not as educated as anyone on the first Alien film that was a mining crew, keep in mind, a mining crew, and had the mentality of action as everyone in Alien 3 as the prisoners on Fury 161. That's what I was given. Now let's break this down fully. The movie starts off, and what I'd like to point out, which really drives me crazy, is Prometheus and Alien Covenant seem to have, as prequels, mind you, prequels. It's the main thing here. They're both prequels to anything that happened in Alien and there on after. Is that the technology that they have in these films seems to be 100 to 200 to whatever years beyond technologically advanced than anything that we saw on any Alien movie up to Alien Resurrection. Maybe in Alien Resurrection they would have had technology that was this advanced, but for anything predating Alien, no. Especially because after the Alien Isolation video game that tied in the events between the first Alien film and Aliens, we know that there's this whole huge gap where there's this technological race between Weyland-Yutani and this other company. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with that. I'm just saying as far as grounds for how technology was standing at the time, for synthetics at least. So without getting really far out into the weeds with aliens or the alien universe, let's get into the film. This film is supposed to be a direct sequel to Prometheus, taking place only 10 years after the events of the Prometheus film. As the film progresses, we are literally given a jazz hands reason to why these people in this film are going to explore and colonize this new planet. We're not given any reasons to why they're doing this. They don't say because the Earth is dying or we're running out of resources or any of that reason. We're just given a jazz hands reason to why these people are going out into deep space to colonize this new planet that is literally years and years and years away for them to get to. And let me just point out as a side factor, James Franco, I am so glad that he dies before he even gets a chance to star in the movie. If this movie would have had James Franco in it, I probably would have killed myself during the film. I don't need Pineapple Express with fucking Alien mixed together. Thank you very much. At least that movie did one thing right, which was remove James Franco's character before he actually had a role within the movie. Him as a captain, are you fucking kidding me? What a god-awful decision. The ship is traveling through space. They hit some sort of turbulence, so to speak, from these neutrino blasts through space. Neutrino blasts through space apparently are these electrical storms that fucking produce this a massive amount of destructive energy from a planet or something like that, and it hits this ship and destroys half of it, kills half of the crew that they're going to colonize this new planet with, while at the same time killing their captain, James Franco. Thank fucking God. And while they're repairing the ship, they receive a mysterious transmission. No one saw this coming. A mysterious transmission from the chick that was in Prometheus. The transmission is never decoded, by the way, throughout the entire film. It's more or less just a stepping stone of laziness. Having this new colony ship basically go explore this new planet that has all these spores from the alien ship in Prometheus, the engineer ship in Prometheus. A really lazy stepping stone. Why is it really lazy? Because they never touch upon anything that the transmission had to say, let alone build any story that happened afterward in the Prometheus film. You know how in the end of Prometheus, they shoot off in the spaceship and they're going to go find the engineer's home world? Well, apparently they find some sort of engineer's home world, and David decides to gas the whole fucking planet, go figure, with the fucking dark matter spore shit. So leading back to Alien Covenant, what drives me crazy is the technology, like I was saying earlier, seems to be way more advanced than anything in any previous Alien film, up to Resurrection at least. Mother, for some reason, is crazy intelligent, when in the first Alien film, and granted, yes, they are on a mining ship, but they are still using Weyland-Yutani technology with the same programming. Mother in this film is smart enough to have voice commands to whether to raise a ship down in elevation or raise it higher, to take commands directly from the captain or whoever's left in charge for that moment, whether to play music or whether it to be controlling the whole ship. Mother from the first Alien film could not override a simple self-destruct sequence, even after it had been manually overridden. So why is Mother in this film way more advanced? Why are the androids way more advanced in these films than they were in Alien? It gives you no answers to where the Ash droids came from. The Ash droids came from. It makes you wonder why they even still created droids after these two events, because of how bad the David droid was. It's like David from Prometheus was the pre-droid to the synthetic uprise that Winona Ryder's character, her synthetic, was talking about all the way in Alien Resurrection, hundreds of years later into the future. So as I'm watching Alien Covenant, I'm thinking to myself, not only is the technology super advanced compared to anything we've seen in Alien, but everyone that's on this crew must have been handpicked and trained for years if they're going on a colony mission. Am I correct? You would think they're going on this mission that's going to cost millions or at least $1 billion to fund, colonizing over 4,000 or whatever people that were on this ship. So that means the crew had to be extremely intelligent, experts in every field that they were chosen in. But once the movie starts, it's like all intelligence gets sucked out of their brain as soon as they land on this planet that they have no idea about. Us as the audience should not have to put together that they already determined that this planet was inhabitable for them to breathe in, not worry about any sort of bacterial viruses that might be lurking around in the air that could kill them potentially, that weren't picked up by trackers or anything else. Literally, when they land on the planet, they walk out like it's Earth. They walk out of the ship like it's Earth. And in the end, it bites them in the ass because this planet's filled with toxic spores that everyone just seems to ignore and just sucks in through their nose or gets put in through their ears. And then we see this whole new brand new alien species fucking, instead of bursting through their chest, what's more horrific? Maybe if it bursts through their back, their spinal column, or the guy barfs it out. Because that's what happens. There's alien spores, spore pods, that people don't even seem to acknowledge. They don't even acknowledge. But yet they're stepping on them and breathing them in and messing with them. Even though us as the audience, we can see the spores clearly floating around in the air, you would think that as the scientist, the expert in your field, you'd be able to see these spores coming out of these pods and not want to suck them in and exposing yourself to these potentially deadly spore viruses that could be in the air from these biological creations that you have no idea. Especially when you're looking around on this planet and there's stuff that was obviously cultivated, human cultivation of plants and everything else, but there seems to be no life anywhere to be found. Any human life, animal life, anything. And then you come across an alien ship. And there are spores within the alien ship as well. And you're just going to you're just going to finger tickle the thing until it shoots spores into your face. This movie literally gives you you really do not care about any of the characters within this film. There are parts within this movie from the beginning and carried out throughout almost the entire film, where people die and it makes it really dramatic and tries to make it really sad, but you don't care because they are just contrived characters. There's no backstory behind any of them. They don't set up any sort of like brotherhood or making you feel as the audience as you can relate to them on a personal level like you could with Alien or Aliens. There's nothing of that. So when these people die and they're making it really dramatic, like it's really supposed to be really sad, and they're throwing it in your face like you're supposed to care, you're sitting there and saying, okay, I wonder if this is the part where I can get up and take a piss, because I do not care about these characters at all. And that's literally how the movie goes almost for the entire time. You don't care about any of the characters except for the android. And that's the thing. This movie's called Alien Covenant. Hence the key word, the first word in the title of the film, Alien. The trailer shows a xenomorph in its true form to try to grab you and pull you in. But I'm here to tell you, with spoilers and all, that the xenomorph and actual aliens are shown maybe 20 minutes throughout the entire 2-hour film. The rest of it is a dramatic soap opera of nothing but androids talking to each other, trying to set up some sort of version of androids aren't meant to serve human beings, number one, and number two, that it's wrong to enslave androids. The rest of it is people acting completely idiotic and retarded when it comes to these are supposed to be the experts that Weyland-Yutani is the company picked to send out into deep space to colonize a future planet for us to live on. And when the shit finally does start hitting the fan, it's like the movie tries to act like we know this wasn't that good. And we know you're probably going to predict what happens next. So we're going to actually fulfill exactly what you predict. By making sure that the David android did sabotage whatever trip the scientist chick from the Prometheus film and him were on. He did sabotage it. And then he tries to sabotage the human beings in this film by making sure they die. He's been on this one planet for too long. I guess 10 years is enough to make an android go insane. But wasn't the trip that the Prometheus was going to take like years and years, going to take years and years? Weren't the humans frozen in cryo sleep for years and years and years? And he was supposed to be the caretaker, right? And then all of a sudden it comes out that the David android doesn't like the human race at all, doesn't think they should exist, and hates his creator, Weyland-Yutani, for some reason. Peter Weyland. So it's trying to change the entire canon of the film when it comes to the synthetics. The synthetic that they send on the Covenant ship has some sort of Wolverine healing factor to where it can be killed and somehow heal its wounds and come back to life. If the crew would have actually done the research and known what this android could have done, they would have known that it has healing factors that happen with literally an instant, and known that David had somehow killed the android that they were using and wouldn't have had to need stitches or anything else because it just would have healed itself on its own. But no. The movie had gotten so far out into the weeds up its own ass that it sets it up like it's some sort of twist at the end that David is really the android that's supposed to take care of everyone at the end. And it's revealed at the end like it's some sort of surprise when it's not. For a movie that's supposed to be about aliens, it literally has aliens for about 20 minutes, and the rest is a dry soap opera, a sci-fi soap opera, with the most predictable story, most predictable ending, most predictable everything. Aside from it trying to change canonical storylines from where the xenomorphs come from, trying to make the movie seem like this David android is responsible for being the synthetic creator, like deconstructing DNA within these 10 years that he's here with no tools whatsoever in any capacity to do such a thing, to devolve the alien DNA strain, to reconstruct it in many different ways over 10 years. Something that obviously the engineers were doing years and years and years of work for. David the android somehow on this planet for 10 years was able to create all these different types of xenomorphs, types of different breeds of embryos and everything else, and had time to study the entire ecological environment. It doesn't make any sense. And to make it seem like he was the creator of the xenomorphs totally kills off everything that they presented to you in Prometheus. So it makes everything make no sense. Because in Prometheus, when they enter the chamber where they first find those vials, there's a whole mural of an alien queen and xenomorph on it. Meaning that maybe the engineers were the smart ones. They were the ones able to maybe engineer around the xenomorph DNA to make these different sorts of breeds, that black spore shit, to try to kill off whatever they were going to fight later on, whether it be killing off the human race, whether it be to fight the predators, whether it be to fight whatever. The engineers were the ones, not David. David was a simple android done by Weyland-Yutani that somehow within the 10 years of being stuck on this planet was able to make scientific advances that not even the engineers could do. Makes no sense. It makes no sense for there to even be a regular xenomorph or alien facehugger species to be on this planet. David, somehow, the way they present it at least, David the android somehow was able to engineer or scientifically experiment to make regular xenomorph eggs on this planet without a queen. What? Yeah. Was able just to make these eggs without a queen at all. So, not only do they try to change the canon of the films, they leave you with more questions than they answered. They make it into a giant science fiction soap opera for a movie called Alien Covenant. I sat around for the 15 minute after credit scene, and there was none. And after I got up, I was the only one left in the theater, besides who I went and saw the movie with. And I had to say, fuck you, Ridley Scott, at the end. This movie is a giant disappointment for anybody who's actually invested in the Alien universe. Is it as bad as Alien vs. Predator? No. Is it as bad as Alien vs. Predator Requiem? No. But I would, and I do, think it's on the same level of Alien 3. As far as how stupid everyone is in the film, how the film is literally just a giant soap opera, and how they kill off important characters that were in the previous film before they even get a starting role in the next film. Why was it so important for them to survive the entire film that you invested your time in before, for them to be dead before you get to see him in the next movie? It makes no sense. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of things that I might have skipped on, like the pale aliens that they tried to present in this movie. I don't even know what they're called. They're just plain albino looking fucking aliens that seem to have some sort of human characteristics while at the same time xenomorph characteristics. They really don't fucking matter in the film because they get obliterated within the first, 45 minutes of the film. They're never expanded upon. The fucking octopus creature from Prometheus that killed the engineer never gets expanded upon. Literally, really anything that you would think never gets expanded upon in this movie, except for what the android David from the previous films, his intentions are as he sits on this planet and broods, basically. And how stupid Weyland-Yutani is when it comes to hiring people to do things. So if I were to grade this movie on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it a 5. It's an average. It's an average popcorn film. It shouldn't be taken seriously, even though this is now somehow going to be made into canon of the Alien universe. I don't know how. They do set the movie up for another film. I really don't know if I'm going to spend the money to go see that one in the theater, because I really didn't want to spend the money to see this one in the theater. But I did. And in the end, I felt stupid because I gave money to Hollywood to make another craptastic film of the franchise that I love. So I'm part of the problem in the end of this. Ugh. So yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give the movie a 5. Don't go see it unless it comes out on DVD, or if it's $1 in Vudu or Redbox. I know this review is late, but that's how long it really took me to bring myself around to go see this film, because I knew it wasn't going to be that good. And when this is just a final note in closing. As I was walking out of the theater, considerably deflated and sad about how the film turned out, you look at the poster, and I'll insert a clip here and just do my audio over it. You look at the poster, you look at this poster for this, and you see a bunch of xenomorphs, and you see some alien face huggers, and it looks like there's this giant epic mural of something that you're expecting to see. You're expecting to see xenomorphs attacking humans, or at least gives off the appearance that the movie's going to have something to do with alien in it. But it's a bait and switch, because when you're watching the film, you literally walk out and the xenomorphs were in the film for nothing more than 20 minutes. And if you want to talk about the actual xenomorph, the one that we come to have known from all the Alien films, it's in there less. It's in there for maybe 10 minutes, if at all. 10 minutes. I'm just so disappointed. And the thing is, I'm not shocked that the movie wasn't good. I'm more shocked of how they made it seem that we as the audience, or at least the story writers, got so lazy to where they felt like they needed to make this movie instead of just taking an idea and making an alien film off of whatever great comic book storylines there already are that exist. There didn't have to be a sequel to Prometheus. They could have left it alone for years and no one would have ever noticed, is the thing. You could have watched this film and it literally didn't have to be an alien film. It could have been any other sci-fi movie taking out the xenomorphs altogether, and you would have never known the difference. That's how sad it is. You would have never known the difference if it was an alien movie or just another sci-fi horror movie that had come out with anything else being the antagonist. Anyway, those are my final thoughts on the movie. If there's anything that I left out, forgive me. I mean, there's a lot to process after seeing this film. It's a 2-hour film. A 2-hour film where they try to change everything of the elements of the movies that I grew up to love and that I do love today. And it's hard to accept the fact that Hollywood just gets worse and worse and worse and worse, and they just make terrible decisions when it comes to movies. There's Alien Covenant, there's The Mummy, and there's all kinds of other crappy movies that are out right now. But yeah, that's my review on the film. Don't go see it unless you can rent it for $1. Hollywood, you need to get your shit together. I know you're not going to. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you didn't, hit the dislike button. Hope you guys have a good night, and I feel like I need a shower now. Later.